Welcome to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. I'm Kevin Lawrence in studio with my dad, Dr. Gary Lawrence. We are a father and son team dedicated to helping you create your new financial future today. Dr. G and I believe there is a solution to your financial situation. And of course, on the show, we talk about creating wealth with biblical principles, practical application. You can visit our website, wealthempowers.com. Now, this radio show also is on iTunes. You can catch our podcast there. Follow us on Facebook or YouTube. Just type in Wealth Empowers and you'll be able to find us. And as you listen today, friends, we hope you're entertained, educated, and at least encouraged. And we're glad that you're riding along with us. Now, often you may hear other people make statements. I know I have. I probably said this in the past, but you hear people make statements like this. I sure could use more money. Or, man, it sure would be nice if I could take a week vacation. You know, in other words, they make comments about how they wish their life would be different or be better, yet they never take the steps towards changing it. Now, every day, Dr. G and I reach out to you to show you the possibility of what you could create with your financial future. You no longer need to say one day, because your one day, my friends, is today. And Dad, so many people, they live in a no man's land called one day or someday.
Yeah, one day, someday becomes their everyday.
Yeah.
You know.
That's good. We should put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, go into the T-shirt business. Yeah. But, two guys were talking, and one fellow asked the other, said, how much is enough? How much money is enough? And the other guy said, just a little more.
Right.
And, Kevin, so many people wish their circumstances would change. Mm-hmm. They hope their circumstances will change. They would like to think their circumstances will change, but they're not willing to change themselves.
Yes.
And, frequently on this radio program, I always say change when left to chance gives birth to conflict. And if you don't change, things will never change. And I'll guarantee you this, there's one thing that will never change, and that's the fact that things will change. So what's the bottom line? Either you make the change or the change is going to make you.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're talking about, is making the change.
And starting to do it today.
Yes, and we have a special guest coming to us all the way from Murrieta, California. His name is Matthew Rand, 46-year-old real estate investor. And he decided several years ago, it's time for me to make a change. Now, he's not your average guy. He spent over 25 years involved in this martial art called Tai Chi. Mm-hmm. And he spent 17 years studying with a grand master of the art, and then he began teaching it. But here's what happened. About 5 years ago, he had a severe hernia. Now, you stop and think, if you're involved in an instructor in a martial arts program, you can't live with the hernia.
No.
But he found out, he was doing what he loved to do, but what he loved to do wasn't providing the income that he needed to get the surgery to repair his damaged body. And he said he started his journey with Renatus by phoning a number off of a roadside sign. We call those bandit signs. And he called the phone number, and he got connected to Renatus through Kendall Stock and Darren Davis out in Murrieta, which we just had Darren Davis, one of our instructors, here several weeks ago. And he said the main reason I joined Renatus is I knew I needed more knowledge, training, and mentorship if I was going to become a successful real estate investor. Mm. And when he started attending the business forums out there in Murrieta, he really liked the community, and immediately he saw the fact that he was going to have to sustain a long-term effort if he wanted to succeed. And so he literally transferred his commitment and his love for real estate investing from the Tai Chi love and his commitment. So let's bring him on. We're going to hear his story. Hey, Matt Rand, it's good to have you on the air with us today.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gary. It's great to be here, and I am honored to be your guest today. Thank you for that introduction. I love it.
Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, it's a joy to get acquainted with you. And I think you and I did meet, but at one of the nationals, but it was kind of in passing. It was kind of brief, wasn't it?
It was, and briefly in passing, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
we did.
Or that might have been the time that Sylvia and I came out to Marietta for a Saturday's day training. But anyway, Matt, it's good to have you on the air. So you spent 25 years in the Tai Chi world. What was that like? Just take a minute and give us an overview of how was that impacting your life?
Well, it really actually helped me in a lot of ways. It helped me to grow and develop as a person. It helped me to become calm. It helped me to learn how to connect with other people. And I was one of these people that was socially awkward. And actually practicing Tai Chi really had me interacting with people a lot. And it was calming and relaxing. And I became just a better at connecting with folks.
Well,
that's one of the biggest impacts it's had.
Well, you know, one of my favorite verses of Scripture says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." And so what I hear you saying, the Tai Chi discipline taught you how to get in touch with yourself so that you can learn how to communicate with others. Is that right or right?
That is correct. Yes, know thyself, is so important. And I love James Allen, and he wrote a whole book about how that I know it comes from the Scripture, and it's definitely been something that for me, learning to know myself has helped me to get connected with others.
Okay, so here you are. You're in your late 30s or early 40s, loving what you do with Tai Chi. You were the teacher to several hundred students. But about 5 years ago, you developed a hernia. Now, that had to be a real threat to your Tai Chi career. Am I right on that?
Well, it was because I was making a living on my feet, walking around, exerting myself. It wasn't, yes, it was a threat. I didn't know what to do. It was painful. It was painful to go to work.
Well, yeah. And the bottom line is we never think that's going to happen to us. Okay, I mean, I meet people all the time. They say, "Oh, I've got a good job," or "I have a steady income." But sad to say, most people that have a steady income, they also have a steady list of debts that they have to service with that steady income. And I'll tell you, 9 out of 10 people I talk to are literally going backwards financially because of their steady income. So you found yourself in a situation, you were driving down the road, you saw a roadside sign, and who answered the phone when you called?
Actually, it was Kim Evans.
Oh, yeah, Kim.
And
we know
she's
Kim.
and it was wonderful. We had a wonderful conversation, and, she invited me to come down to attend one of the business forums, and that's how I got connected with Renatus.
Well, and there's another story that unfolded. We interviewed Kim Evans about a year ago, Kevin.
Yeah.
And her husband, he had a 6-figure-a-year job, made well over $100,000. But they found themselves going backwards on a monthly basis when it came to their finances. And so anyway, so you attended one of the business forums out there in Marietta. What was your experience the first time you stepped in that team out there?
My experience was that I really liked the folks that I met in the office there. I got a really good feeling about who everybody was.
Right.
And I was a little bit resistant at first, but I just needed a chance to get to know everybody. And the question that I was asking myself is, do I want to work with these folks? And the more time I spent with them, the more I felt like, yes, these are the people I want to work with.
Yeah, you found a home for yourself, didn't you?
I did. I found a home. I found friendships. I really found family.
You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Matthew Rand from Marietta, California is our guest. And, hey, our phone number, if you would like to call me, is 602-730-5645. And, by the way, Kevin and I on the air Monday through Friday to invite people, just like Matthew attended an event in Marietta. We have an event every week right here in Scottsdale. And what is it about? Well, it's all about Renatus. And what is Renatus? Well, Renatus is a Latin term for rebirth. And Renatus is the premier real estate investing education service in America. And I'm going to come back to you in just a minute, Matthew, because you said one of the main reasons you joined Renatus, you knew that you needed more knowledge, training, and mentorship if you were going to become a successful real estate investor. Am I saying that right?
That is correct.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come back. Kevin and I are hosting an investor business forum right here in the Valley this week. We do it every week. It's from 7 till 8:30 in the evening, and I'm extending to you my personal invitation to be our guest at our business forum. What is the business forum all about? Well, it's not a boring meeting, I'll tell you that. It's an exciting business event, and you're going to learn about Renatus. You're going to learn about real estate investing as it is in Arizona today. You're going to meet a team of wonderful men and women just like yourself who said, you know what? It's time I change my financial future. And I want to give you that invitation. There's no cost to you. And if you do call me, and I'll give you my number again in a minute, I want you to know you've got to leave your checkbook and your credit cards at home. You're not going to buy anything because we're not going to sell you anything. And the truth is, Kevin, they don't really qualify to be part of our team yet, do they?
No, they don't. We want to meet them, and they need to do their due diligence and meet us. And like Matt did, just get familiar with the community, find out who we are.
Right.
So, yeah.
So if you'd like to be my guest, get ready to write down my phone number. By the way, when you call, you will get a voice message. So for your sake, leave your name and phone number, and I will personally return the call. All right, here's our phone number. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or visit Kevin and I at our website, wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com. Matthew Rand is our guest, coming to us from Murrieta, California. And so tell us a little bit about your journey. You attended the business forum out in Murrieta, and then when did you pull the trigger and decide to get enrolled in the education, Matt?
I decided to do that and get enrolled in the education. It was November of 2014.
Oh, okay, about 5 years ago. Yeah, that's hard to believe.
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah, it's a little while ago. Yeah.
Well, it's been 10 years for me now.
Well, let me jump in here, Matt. And I want to kind of back up just a bit and unpack something here over the next few minutes. So, because you got involved in real estate investing and ultimately business ownership, but what was it? So it was the surgery that really made a big impact on your thinking. Like, so, you said earlier, hey, I really didn't have enough for what I needed for myself medically. Can you just share a little bit around that piece of it? What was going on financially for you?
Well, yeah, I was covering my bills, and, I typically don't think of myself as ever having any health problems. And, I was paying my bills, and I was able to have what I needed on a day-to-day basis. I did not have health insurance. Mm-hmm. And
so the truth is, Matt, you didn't have what you needed on a day-to-day basis.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's true. It's true. And so, it got me to thinking that, I needed to create more. I wanted to create more for myself, and I wanted to do something different to create some more income. That's where I was coming from.
Okay, so of all the things you could do, because you're right, a lot of people know they need to create more income, and where they're at's not going is financially insufficient. So of all the things you could do, get a second job, get a third job, buy a franchise, try to buy a laundromat or, coin operated type business, of all the options out there, why in your mind did you think real estate would be the best option?
Well, I was doing a lot of reading and reading different books about, learning how to invest and becoming wealthy.
Right.
And I I had gone through like Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of those books, Think and Grow Rich. I had run into a friend who had sold me his book and got me thinking about investing, and his book was called Pay Yourself First, and it was basically a version of The Richest Man in Babylon that was kind of modernized.
Right,
okay. And so I was coming from that perspective, but I knew I needed to learn how to invest, because learning to invest was part of it, saving was part of it, but learning to invest was another part of it. And so that's where I found myself kind of falling short, or knowing what I needed to do next was learning how to be an investor. And I didn't know that.
And those books are fantastic. I've read just about everything you've listed. I haven't read Pay Yourself First, but I read Richest Man in Babylon. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And those books really stir the soul. They get the fire going. You get the picture of what's possible. If I could just learn how to invest in real estate. But like so many people, I got done reading the book and I'm like, okay, let's go. And then I didn't know where to go.
Well, yeah, and you didn't know how to go where you wanted to go.
I did.
And that's why Renatus is such an impactful vehicle.
Yeah.
And so that was you. You knew you wanted to go in a different direction financially, but you didn't have the right vehicle to head towards that direction. Is that close to being accurate?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. And I was looking.
Well, now let's go back to what the name Renatus means. It's a Latin term for rebirth. And I got to take a minute here, Matt. My wife and I, we had a very successful Christian marriage and family counseling clinic for almost 25 years. We'd planned our retirement through mutual funds over 25 years. And back in 2003, when I was 59, we decided to retire. But what happened, it took me 6 weeks after I retired to learn the sad truth that we'd already lost 65% of our retirement portfolio in the stock crash. And that's pretty scary because I'd already retired. Now we got 35% of what we invested over 25 years for our golden years. And that was pretty scary, Matthew. And so anyway, we lived on what we had left for the next 5 years. And in 2009, our money ran out. I had no cash, no savings. My credit was maxed out. So in 2009, like millions of Americans, because of the Great Recession, we went through bankruptcy. We lost our house to auction. We lost everything. That's when I was introduced to Renatus. And just the name Renatus caught my attention because it means rebirth. Okay? Renatus means starting over. Renatus is the beginning of a new life. Renatus is the new birth. And Sylvia and I needed to be rebirthed financially. But that's where you were. You needed to be rebirthed financially. Is that pretty close to accurate?
It is, yes.
Okay. And you seem like the kind of personality, you don't make decisions quickly. You don't rush in where fools dare not tread, right?
I would definitely say that I was cautious.
Right.
That's for sure, yes.
And, okay, and so now what was it about the persona of the team in Marietta? Now, Sylvia and I had the opportunity to come out there and spend a Saturday training with your team, wonderful people. If you could encapsulate describing that team out there, and Renatus as a community nationwide, how would you describe the Renatus community?
Well, I love the Renatus community. They are everybody in the community. It's great. It's like a big extended family to me, and I just felt connected right away to the local community. I loved playing the cash flow game, and one of my big motivators was actually I wanted people to play cash flow with, because I knew if I played that game more and more and more, I would become more wealthy. And so that's really the thing that attracted me. Just being able to spend some time with these folks, and they're being willing to spend some time with me,
right,
and get to know me on a personal level. And it wasn't just all business.
Right.
It was a mixture of business and life.
And so now you have been the teacher and involved in Tai Chi for over 25 years, but now the teacher becomes the student.
Yeah.
Is that a good analogy?
It is. And, I always commit myself to keep on learning.
Well, and
Absolutely.
Also, and we're going to come back and discuss this tomorrow because we're almost out of time, but you just partnered with Darren Davis, who is the team leader in Marietta, and you guys made a $31,000 profit in a 4-month cycle doing a fix and flip. Were you pretty excited about that $31,000 profit?
I was very excited about it, yeah.
We're going to come back and unpack that tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
All right, Matthew Rand from Marietta, California has been our special guest, and you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. And Kevin, tell our audience about our business forum.
So, friends, you're invited every week. We have our investor business forum coming up. So as you're listening to our show and you're wondering if these stories are true, you're wondering about these two crazy guys behind the mic, well, come meet us, find out the reality of what we're doing. And when you come to our business forum, you're going to see what's going on in real time here in Arizona with the real numbers and the real profits and real investors that we have in our community. So I'm going to give you the phone number in a minute. And when you call, you're going to leave your name and your phone number, and either Dr. G or I will return your call personally, and we'll set your seat aside. Now, this is an invitation-only event, so you do have to reserve your seat and come get acquainted with us. And, Dad, we enjoy meeting our listeners, don't we?
Oh, I really do. And every week we have somebody that's been listening to us on the radio attend our business forum. And it's like we've had people listen to us for up to 5-6 years.
And then they finally
decide to call.
You don't have to wait that long, though. Let me give you our phone number. You can call 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or check us out online. Go to our website, wealthempowers.com. That's 2 words all together, wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com.
And Kevin, so many times, I had a guy attend one of our business forums several months ago, and after it was over, he started to leave. He said, Dr. G, this really sounds good, but you just don't understand. I'm broke. And I just looked at him. He started telling me his sad tale, how broke he was. And I looked at him. I said, you have to remember the guy you're talking to. That's me, right? Mm-hmm. I was so broke that I literally had to decide some months whether I'm going to buy groceries or pay the light bill. When your mother and I were going through bankruptcy and foreclosure, it was a sad time. Mm-hmm. But Renatus has turned that all into a glad experience because we're making an impact in the lives of other people. And ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to your problems, you've got 1 of 4 choices on how to respond. You can resist your problems. You can resent your problems. You can rage about your problems. But here's what I suggest. Learn how to respond to the positive purpose of your problems and realize that problems are frames that God uses to draw attention to areas in your life in which you need help. It may be the time in your life when you're ready to make a change. Just come and visit Kevin and I. Spend an hour and a half with us. Open up the door to the possibilities and probabilities of what you can create. There's no saying if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And Kevin and I, we can show you a new road that's going to take you to a destination of genuine financial freedom. It's not going to happen overnight. This is not one of those one-week sensations where you make $100,000 because you become part of our team. It's a lifestyle change. Change, I say it all the time, when left to chance gives birth to conflict. And if you don't change, things will never change. And the only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. So what's the bottom line? Either you make the change or the change is going to make you. Success has never been a destination. It's nothing more than a journey. Are you enjoying the journey? You can succeed. All that's given to anyone is given to you. Now listen very carefully. Success has never been final, but failure has never been fatal. No one's ever died from being a failing experience, okay? An investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on your investment. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this? It's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success today. Why not start now? We have a wonderful fellow from Murrieta, California. His name is Matthew Rand, 46 years young. He's younger than you, Kevin.
I know. I'm getting older.
That's so cool. The people we are interviewing now are younger than you.
What? Okay. Are you saying it's cool that I'm old?
Well, I'm definitely much older than you, that's for sure. But anyway, Matthew spent 25 years involved in the graceful martial art called Tai Chi. But he was a teacher, taught hundreds of students. Then about 5 years ago, developed a health issue that literally put him out of business with that. It was very difficult for him to continue. He didn't even have the money for the surgery that he needed. And he began to realize that he needed, not only wanted, but he needed another way to make money. And that's how he got involved with Renatus. And what is Renatus? Well, Renatus is the Latin term for rebirth, and Renatus is the premier real estate investing education system in America. And he's been with Renatus now for about 5 years, enjoying a lifestyle that he did not have access to before, with a community of people that he has literally bonded with on a very healthy level. But he's also creating unbelievable income. Mm-hmm. It just blows. Yes. 46 years old. I wish I had the opportunity. I'm 75 now, almost 75. And if I had the opportunity that he has now, I'm going to bring him on. Matthew Rand, what a joy to have you on the air as our guest today.
Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Gary and Kevin. I really appreciate it, and I'm very honored to be here.
Now, Matthew, yesterday we kind of opened up your story, but today I want to focus on the fact that when you did become part of the Renatus team out in Murrieta, California, you already owned a duplex, but you were running backwards financially. It was kind of draining you. You want to tell the story about that? But now you are getting ready to, because you joined Renatus, you turned that negative cash flow into positive cash flow. What happened there?
Yes. Well, just to put it really simply, I didn't really know how to manage it. And you know what? I learned. It was my first experience being a landlord. I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
And I went out there, and what I first did was I lived in one unit and I rented the other one. And within about the first 6 months, my first tenant passed away on me, and so I was very careful about the process. I went and interviewed probably 30 or 40 potential tenants and put a new tenant in. And I picked good ones. I mean, they took good care of the place. They paid the rent on time. They were nice folks, good young family. And because I appreciated them and they appreciated me, what I didn't do was I didn't raise the rent the way I ought to have to keep up with the market. And so I was a little bit too nice. I'm like too nice of a landlord instead of being a little bit more businesslike.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Nice Guy. You what's that guy? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah,
Mr.
you were
Rogers.
You were the Mr. Rogers of the neighborhood, huh?
Yeah. And I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong because I felt like, hey,
right.
They're paying the rent. They're always paying the rent on time, or they always paid early. They were good neighbors. They were grateful to be there. They were a young family, good people.
Right.
And so I just didn't feel like, hey, I wasn't going to really jack the rent up on them. I just wasn't going to be like I didn't want to be that guy.
I was going to tell you what, if you wanted to get another rental property out there, you can rent it to my wife and I because I love landlords like you.
Okay.
So, Matt, how did the Renatus education help shift that mindset and that thinking?
Well, I didn't know anything about property management. Mm-hmm. I was learning on the fly, right? And I didn't know what I didn't know, and so I took the class in property management, and I started listening to other people's stories. I got connected with several other landlords in the community, so I wasn't alone. I had a chance to have conversations with people about how I ought to be managing the property. Mm-hmm. And when those tenants moved out, I realized that I would raise the rent. It became time to raise that rent to keep up with the market. I was charging like $700 a month.
Wow.
When in reality the market rent was more like $1,100.
Wow.
And so I should have been raising it $100 a year, and I wasn't, because I was Mr. Nice Guy.
Right.
And, yeah. So what happened when they moved out was that I raised that rent up to $1,100. I moved out of the other side of the duplex, and I rented both sides out, each for $1,100. And then at that point, after all my expenses come in, I was making $1,000 a month in positive cash flow from that.
So what I'm hearing you say is, though, the investment you made financially for the Renatus education, once you applied some of the principles that our instructors teach, you actually paid for your education just with that one decision to raise the rents, because that's what the market called for. Is that right or right?
That is definitely correct. Absolutely.
You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Matthew Rand from Murrieta, California, and he really prefers the name Matt, so we're just going to call him Matt. Matt Rand, 46-year-old real estate investor and entrepreneur, is our guest. And we're all about Renatus. We're all about reaching out, helping men and women just like you change your financial future. And Kevin and I are hosting another investor business forum this week right here in the Valley. And what is a business forum? Well, it's not a boring meeting. It's an exciting business event. Now, we don't have a bunch of hoopla. There's not a lot of raw type. We're not that kind of a team. We are looking for men and women who really want to change their financial future. When I started on the radio 10 years ago, Kevin, my goal was to help men and women in their 50s and 60s who had gone through a cycle of loss like your mother and I went through. And, I gave that up in about 2 months, because many people who went through the recession ended up going through bankruptcy, or lost their house to auction, or they lost their job, they were laid off, or they lost their retirement. People in their 50s and 60s were so embittered and so discouraged about life. And I told your mother, I'm not going to turn my Renatus business into a counseling business. It's not going to happen. So, but ladies and gentlemen, Kevin and I want to invite you to be our personal guest. Come and meet us. Come and find out what your possibilities and probabilities are that you can change your financial platform. To make that happen, you're going to have to call me, and we tell everybody, leave your checkbook and your credit cards at home. You're not going to buy anything. We're just going to start doing our due diligence. If you'd like to be my guest, here's the phone number to call. Please write it down. If you're going down the interstate, pull over where you're safe and write down this phone number. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or go to our website. It's wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com. And by the way, we've had 3 or 4 more people go to our website this week, Kevin.
Yeah, more people are, and meeting our listeners every week is definitely a highlight, no doubt.
And we have some interesting videos for you to visit and learn from when you visit our website. Matthew Rand, so you turned the negative cash flow situation on your duplex into a positive cash flow of $1,000. Were you pretty happy about that, Matt?
I was excited, and I was relieved, and really it gave me faith in what I had been learning, what I've been learning with Renatus.
Well,
because that impacted me. It made a difference in my life. One class.
Well, there's no saying, if you think knowledge is expensive, try ignorance.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I didn't know what I didn't know, and it was hurting me.
Right.
So what's the other side? Like Paul Harvey, if those listening remember that guy, the rest of the story. So now that you've been positive cash flowing, you're out of the duplex, but share with our listeners where you're at right now with this particular property and how you have it positioned.
Yes. Well, as we know right now, the market is up, and it has appreciated in value. It's nearly doubled in value since the time that I've bought it. And I have well over $100,000 of equity in there now.
Wow.
And I am getting ready to sell it. I'm going to do a light rehab to one of the units, because one of the units is rented, one is vacant. So it's perfect for a tenant buyer to come in and almost have have their mortgage payment paid. They're going to be getting $1,100 a month of rent from the back unit. They can live in the front. I'm going to make the front unit nice and really livable.
And so what's your bottom line profit-wise on that deal?
Bottom line profit-wise, I am looking, after all is said and done, at about $120,000 of equity. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
My goodness, that's more than 6 times what your Renatus education cost you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I only put $15,000 down on this property.
Wow.
I saved my money, I put that $15,000 down, and now I've multiplied it.
Well,
so I'm excited for that.
So you learned the power of leverage.
Yes.
Yeah, Matt, the first class I took was Creative Acquisitions by Chris Alban out of Danville, Illinois. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. And we are a father and son team dedicated to helping you change your financial future. And we're all about Renatus. We're all about introducing men and women to the wonderful world of real estate investing in a genuine way with a solid platform. And you're listening to our guest, Matthew Rand from Murrieta, California. Before he got involved in Renatus, he was running negative on the cash flow on a duplex. Now he's turned that around, and now 5 years later, he's selling that property for $120,000 positive cash flow on that. I mean, that's just awesome.
It is. And Matt, in our education, we have over 50 hours or 50 classes and about 300 plus hours of education. So Renatus is not just about go flip a house and try to earn 20 grand. I mean, this is about building a business and a financial platform. So now that you're looking at potentially earning $120,000 on this, are you going to go to Vegas, buy new cars, buy shiny objects, or are you going to do something different because of what you've learned through the education?
Yes, that's a great question. I certainly am going to do something different with it. My plan is to take that money and go put it down on a multifamily property. I want like a 12-unit apartment building or a 16-unit apartment building, depending on, what area that I can find that deal. But that's my goal and my plan to move into that. And I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't have a really extravagant lifestyle. If I make $3,000 a month in positive cash flow from an apartment building, then that completely frees me. It makes it so that all of my bills get paid whether I go to work or not. And so that to me is huge.
That's enormous, because your debt is low. You control your expenditures. And here's what I really want our listeners to catch. So here's Matt. He's about 5 years ago, around 40, he starts learning how to invest in real estate, coming out of the world of being a disciplined martial arts teacher. You're Matt, and I say this with love, but you're not the rock star on the stage, or weren't born wealthy and all that. You just simply learned basic real estate strategies. You've put them in place, and now you're building your real estate portfolio, learning how to positive cash flow, learning how to minimize your tax liability on the profits you earn. And it's something, in other words, what I'm trying to say is it's something that anyone from any walk of life, if they learn how to do it, they can do it and be effective. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. Tons of people are doing it. It's not just me.
Yeah.
Well, and I started to tell the story. That class I took, Creative Acquisitions from Chris Albin. Remember, back then I was bankrupt, flat broke, had no savings, no cash. My credit was maxed out. I was so encouraged from that one class, Matt, that I learned how I can take ownership and control of real estate with none of my own money and none of my own credit. And that's a powerful lesson to learn, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, that's a good segue into my other deal by Fix and Flip, because I absolutely used none of my own money, none of my own credit to get that done.
Yeah, and tell us about that. We got about 2 minutes left with you, okay?
Absolutely. So I was going out and sharing this Renatus opportunity and inviting people to our business forums. And this one woman, I went to Toastmasters, and I invited her several times to come to one of these forums, and she said no. And what happened was, when her mom passed away, she needed to sell her house. She remembered I was a real estate investor because I kept opening my mouth. And so we negotiated a deal. We gave her a fair price for her house because she needed to sell it cash. It was not going to pass a loan because of the condition that it was in.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so went in there and did a rehab on that. We bought it for $212,000. We rehabbed it for $27,000, and then sold it for $310,000. Walked away with a $31,000 profit, and everybody was blessed by it. She was blessed. We helped her find a new place to live. Gave her a fair price for the house. She was happy. We sold it for the top price in the neighborhood. We brought up the top of the market value, so the whole neighborhood, their values were increased by it.
Wow. Yeah.
We gave employment to contractors.
Yes.
And we helped a new lender who wanted to get into the game of lending.
Right.
Overcome her fear, and we gave her like a 15% return on her money, and so she was happy with it.
15%.
So everybody won.
A 15% return.
Yeah, I know. We didn't negotiate hard enough to lower that, but we didn't have to make any payments during the time that we had that time, and it only took us. It took us less than 120 days to get that whole.
Well,
thing
I was going to
done.
say that's less than 4 months. You create $31,000 in profit. That's just absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for you, Matt. Matt, what a joy to have you back on the air. It sounds like you're making progress with Renatus, my friend.
Well, yes, and thank you for having me on, Dr. Gary and Kevin. It's an honor to be here. I'm really excited and thankful for Renatus and for this opportunity to speak with you today.
Well, it's our honor to have you as our guest. And Kevin, you wanted Matt to...
Here's what I want to do with our time today. Let's shine a little spotlight on really what I said off the air when we were talking, your business acumen. And the reason why I want to do this is there's a lot, especially in Arizona. I don't know about where you're at in California, Matt, but here in Arizona, there's a lot of what we call guru boot camps, okay? And they come into the valley, and of course, we're resort rich around this valley. Everyone wants to come here to vacation because of our lovely weather. And so the Robert Kiyosaki's of the world, the fortune builders, Stan Merrills, all these people on TV, cable have fix and flip shows. They want to come into the valley, hold a 1-day or a 3-day conference, and they bill it as flip your way to millions, which is not a reality. And that's only one strategy anyway to flip a house. Real estate is much more than that. So now what we do is we have people who are just trying to earn extra income, trying to flip a house here or there. Renatus is the exact opposite. And we say, look, don't just learn how to flip a house or to invest in real estate, but learn how to become a real estate investor. Be proficient at it. And, of course, our classes, with over 50 classes we offer, and it covers the gamut of acquiring properties, holding them. Are we going to sell them? What are our exit strategies? And then we also build a business strategy around real estate investing. So you get real estate investing, you get business strategies. So to try to explain that a little bit, share your personal experience on how you've gone from, hey, I was an employee, I was teaching the martial arts, and then I found Renatus, but I've built that business. What classes have really stood out to you to help you build that business mindset?
Yes, well, definitely. And it's really a transition from one way of thinking to another that's happened over the years. Definitely that tax and legal class with Mark Kohler, inspiring me to become a business owner and just talking about all the advantages that business owners have. With teaching Tai Chi, I worked in the Los Angeles adult school system, and so I was working as an employee, got laid off, and shifted the structure of my classes to being self-employed, where the students paid me, and I just would go around to different places and teach. And gradually that, as I discovered the Renatus opportunity, shifted that mindset into actually owning a business and leveraging my time and everything. But there was a little bit of back and forth there. One of the things that I did was I kind of quit my job too soon. And I left behind some income that, you hear stories about, hey, quit your job and start a business.
Right.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Start a business and then quit your job.
Right?
Yeah. We tell everybody, don't quit your day job. And we've met so many people over the years, Matt, that went to one of these 3-day real estate guru seminars and spent tens of thousands of dollars, quit their job, got focused on what they thought that they had the knowledge to do, and ended up really going backwards financially. I mean, that's a tragedy, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And you know what? We found a way to shortcut that way of learning how to do the real estate investing.
Right.
And Renatus is definitely that way. And I'm so glad that I found it because, I see what that does to people.
Yeah. Well, now, I was listening to you share yesterday in our interview. You're selling the duplex that you have. You're going to walk away with about $120,000 in profit. You're going to invest probably $100,000 of that in a 12 to 16 unit apartment complex. But one of our classes is entitled "How to Manage Property Managers."
Yes.
Do you think that's going to help you run a 12 to 16 unit apartment complex?
Absolutely. And I've gone through that class, and I love what our founder, Mr. Bob Snyder, has said about that, is that, you know what, when you're first starting out, you ought to learn how to manage a handful of properties on your own so that you know what you're doing or that you have a sense of what that job is.
Right.
And then in the class, you learn how to manage property managers so that you know if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you can hold them to account because you understand the job. So I'm grateful for my experience and cutting my teeth on being a landlord with this one property. It's been a very valuable experience.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to go buy that apartment building and have a property manager manage that and have those tenants not ever know who I am.
Yeah, that's a different level of investing, no doubt. Well, earlier in the week, you talked about the project because there's different strategies to real estate investing. You're involved in buy and hold. You're involved in a fix and flip right now, and then there's things we teach about like buying notes if you just want to cash flow the paper. There's so many strategies we teach, so it's not just one. But what I like what you brought out about the current flip is that what you did was you put money in the local economy. Now, I want our listeners to really think about that. As an employee, you go to work, you provide a service for your employer, which is right. You get a paycheck for that. Uncle Sam gets your tax money before you get your money. And that's just kind of the system people know. But when you graduate yourself to thinking from a business standpoint, it's actually I'm giving back to the community now, right? I have a business where I employ people. I put money in their pocket. Real estate investors really are problem solvers, aren't they?
Absolutely. And like I said yesterday, everybody was blessed in this transaction. We had 8 or 9 contractors that all got paid for their work, and so they got to feed their families. We had the seller of the property who was able to get a fair price and then go and find another place to live, and didn't have the stress of having to worry about or take care of that property when she didn't really want to.
Matt, we need to go to our audience. We're going to come back. I want to hear the rest of that story in a minute. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence show, and Matt Rand from Murrieta, California is our special guest. He's pretty excited about what he's doing.
You can hear it, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm hosting another investor business forum this week right here in the Valley. And it's on Thursday night from 7 till 8:30. I'm extending you an invitation to be my personal guest. Kevin wants to meet you too, am I right?
Oh, I always enjoy meeting our listeners.
I know it.
And so, they could get a hold of us.
If you'd like to be our guest, you're going to have to call me, and I'm going to give you my phone number in a minute, but I want you to know when you call, you will get a voice message. So for your sake, leave a message for me with your name and phone number, and I will call you back. Here's our number. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or go to our website, Wealth Empowers. That's Wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, Empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com. Matt Rand is our guest coming to us from Murrieta, California. He's pretty excited about the forward movement he's making with his Renatus Real Estate Investing Education, isn't he?
He is, and before the break, he was just sharing about all the positive that's come out of his previous flip. And Matt, we learned to be problem solvers, which is a different stigma than greedy real estate investors, right?
Well, absolutely, and we are serving other people in a lot of ways, and that's what we're doing.
Right? Absolutely. And I think the heart of Renatus as a community, locally here in Arizona anyway, and of course where you're at, Murrieta, Matt, nationwide, because we have investor communities in about 36 cities around the country. So we're a connected, extended family, but I think the heart of service really comes from our founder and CEO, Bob Snyder, as he endeavors to keep that heart locally. And Matt, you coming out of a martial arts background, you understand the value of service and discipline. It just blended well with Renatus, don't you think?
Absolutely, it did. It certainly did. Yes, and I learned how to serve my students by being a teacher. And by the way, I still do that. I just cut back. Instead of doing 15 or 20 classes a week, I do 2 classes a week. And so I'm still practicing and sharing that with people, just on a scaled back level, because I still love it.
Well, you have the time because of Renatus. You've been able to have the time to cut back and still grow and prosper financially. I mean, think about that, right? I mean, you were teaching probably more classes previously, earning less money, but now because of Renatus, you've been able to create a business and generate more money, even though you're teaching less classes. Wow, that's awesome.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I'm really just focusing more on quality, and I love to share what I do. It really balances out, all of the other work that I'm doing, just with all of the real estate investing. It keeps me grounded,
right?
It keeps me taking good care of myself,
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, can you take a few minutes and counsel our audience? Matt, there are men and women who say, well, I've listened to Dr. G and Kevin for a long time now, and it sounds too good to be true. Do you ever hear that, Matthew?
I do, and, it sounds to me when people say that, first of all, that's a story that people tell themselves.
Right.
And how good do they want it to be? It's what I like to call a disempowering context.
Wow, that's good.
And like you were talking a little bit about blaming other people for your problems.
Right.
That blame is also a disempowering context. And a lot of the things that we say and we tell ourselves are disempowering contexts. Hey, I don't have the time to do this, or it's impossible, or it sounds too good to be true.
Or when my circumstances improve.
Exactly. When I get that raise, when I get my tax return, when I get this, when, and let me tell you, don't wait. I just had a very good friend suddenly drop dead this past weekend,
Right,
and it broke my heart. You guys heard about it. Kenny Johnson, love him, and was a part of our community, and it just really turns back to me that sense of urgency of let's do whatever is important, let's do it now, because we delude ourselves into thinking we have extra time. You know, that there's always going to be tomorrow, there's always going to be a someday, and that's just not true. If it's important, let's get it done now.
Right.
I like the way you say that. You know, you're right on, Matt. We do. We just, there's a couple of currencies. My mind's going fast because right now I'm trying to get my words out. There's certain currencies in life, and one of the currencies most people think they have more of is time.
Right.
We're always complaining because we don't have enough money, but we think we have plenty of time, and we've got it backwards in our thinking.
Well, you know, the truth is today was yesterday's tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I mean, and tomorrow is going to be here real soon. Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is people need to get focused on taking ownership of their life financially instead of continually putting themselves at the mercy of someone else's decisions.
Yeah, right on. So we can always earn more money, believe it or not, and that's a negative context, as you said, disempowering context, that I can't earn more money or I'm limited in the kind of money I can earn, and that is a false, that's a lie from the pit of hell. It's not true.
Right.
And another lie is, well, I have more time, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. We got to reverse those, you know?
Well, look at Brian Sump. Brian Sump is our short sale instructor, okay?
Yeah.
He used to be a diesel mechanic. In his best year, he made about $48,000. And he got enrolled in the Renault's education in 18 months. He sent Bob Snyder, our CEO and founder, a text and said, thank you. My mortgage is paid off. We have enough money to buy health insurance, and I've quit my job. I told my boss I can't afford to work for him anymore. And here he is now, very successful.
National instructor, yeah.
And creating about a $75,000 a month income. That's a pretty good change. That's substantial, wouldn't you say, Matthew?
Absolutely. I think Brian's classes are awesome, and really, he just teaches so much cool stuff. I mean, it's amazing what he's been able to do. But what he teaches, it literally can help you get into a house without having to qualify for a loan.
Right. You're listening to the
that's so powerful.
Right. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Matthew Rand from Murrieta, California has been our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we're having another exciting business forum this week, and, well, I would love to meet you. So I'm extending my invitation to you to be my personal guest. And if you take me up on my offer, I want you to know you cannot bring your checkbook or credit cards with you to the event. You're not going to buy anything. If you would like to be my guest, you're going to have to call me, and I'm giving you my phone number right now. Get ready to write it down. Here it is. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or visit us at our website, wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H. Empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S. Wealthempowers.com. Matthew, would you take one quick minute and tell our audience why they should call Dr. G and Kevin and be our guest?
Absolutely. You are going to be in for a treat when you go there to meet them. And, you know, they're genuine individuals, and you will love to connect with them when you're there. And not only Kevin and Dr. G, but everybody else around them.
Right.
I think you'll really be impressed with the group of people that you're going to meet, and who you surround yourself is so important, because that's going to really take you to the future that you want. So I highly recommend it, and it will be a great experience for you.
Oh, you're so kind, Matt. And the bottom line is you always become like the people you hang around. Am I right or right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just so my audience knows, Kevin, we did not pay Matthew Rand one dime.
Yeah, there's your disclaimer. No one was paid for their testimony.
You've been so kind, and Matthew, we consider you a good friend, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at Nationals in a couple of weeks.
Me too. I'm really looking forward to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, people don't fail in life because they want too much. They fail because they settle for too little. Are you settling for too little? Have you already reached the apex in your life financially where you have come to the place you said, well, this is all I'm able to create? Hey, maybe you're a successful mom and pop business owner, but you have found out, sad to say, that you really don't own the business owns you. And my goodness, I meet people like that every week that literally have become a slave to their small mom and pop business.
Absolutely,
They don't show up 6 or 7 days a week. They're out of business.
Yeah.
Well, learning how to become a successful real estate investor with the Renatus system is such a different lifestyle. Change, when left to chance, gives birth to conflict. And if you don't change, things are never going to change. You can't wait for the circumstances to change. You've got to make the change within yourself. And I'll guarantee you this, the only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. So what's the bottom line? Either you make the change, or friends, the change is going to make you stop being a circumstantial creator. Stop being a victim of everybody else's decisions and how they're going to control your future. Success has never been a destination. It truly is nothing more than a journey. Are you enjoying the journey? You can change your future. All that's given to anyone is given to you. Now listen carefully. Success has never been final, but failure has never been fatal. No one's ever died from being a failure. I've gone through many failings that have brought me to success. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this with such a strong conviction? It's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create a new financial future. Today, why not start right now?
It's been said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. No matter your circumstances, there is a solution to your situation. Dr. G and Kevin invite you to explore the possibilities of creating a new financial platform that you control and no longer allow yourself to be controlled by the circumstances of your life. Visit them at wealthempowers.com. That's WealthEmpowers.com. Come and meet Dr. G and Kevin at the Investor Business Forum. Oh, one last thought. Isn't it time for you to stop making a living and start making a life? Call Dr. G and Kevin at 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645.